And our final thread of the day is titled Sharing Cups. If your toddler tells grandma, your mother-in-law, to take a sip of her milk from her cup, and mother-in-law takes a sip, would you be upset? I find it disgusting. Most people would know to take a pretend sip, but she drank from my daughter's cup. My toddler doesn't know better, but my mother-in-law does. Husband thinks I'm overreacting. Thoughts on this? I also think OP is overreacting. Honestly, I don't know. I know we have this whole like, ew, germs, touching things that were touched by other people and so on. And I get it with strangers because you don't know what strangers are doing and you don't know what they're touching and you don't know what they're putting in their mouths and you don't know what they're eating, etc., right? So that's fine. But honestly, like, unless your mother-in-law is sick or diseased, like if she has herpes or mouth sores or something gross and disgusting where you're like, what are you doing? I don't see why this is such a big deal. I really don't understand it. I don't get why you would freak out. This statement, most people would know to take a pretend sip. I'm just like, really? Is this the hill that you want to die on? Of all the things that you could have an argument about, of all the things that are really important to you in raising your child, the thing that you really care the most about is that your mother-in-law doesn't take a tiny sip from her tiny cup when your child is offering it to her. Like, unfortunately, I seem to be a weird person. Everyone says, ew, definitely quickly take the cup, dump and clean it in front of mother-in-law to get the point across that it's unclean to do that. Sometimes I feel like we live in a world that still believes that HIV can be passed on from person to person through things like drinking from the same cup. That's truly, and that we also live in a world where everyone has HIV, and that's why you would freak out so much at your mother-in-law doing something like that. The next person says this. I would also say something like, ew, grandma, that's gross and gives cooties. Are we all 5 years old? I don't understand. I grew up being told to never share cups. I think it's disgusting. I would be upset about this too. Nope, we don't even share cups with her. And then one person says, your husband is underreacting. If mother-in-law is doing it, no wonder why your husband doesn't think it's a big deal. Learned behavior, smack both their heads together, and no, you aren't overreacting. Like, I don't get it. I understand that there is some point where you can catch things from your grandparents. And I would also, honestly, I would get it if the mother-in-law was a smoker, you know, if she drank a lot, if there was some actual reason to go, hey, there's something off here and I don't really want my kid to have contact with that. But otherwise, I don't see the big deal. I don't see the big deal at all. And then we come to this really, really strange part. She says, I think sharing any dairy is gross. I won't even share an ice cream with my husband. And I fail to understand, what is the difference between sharing a cup of milk versus sharing a cup of water? I don't get it at all. The next person says, this is a thing for me too. My husband thinks it's so weird, but I legit refuse to share ice cream with him. He's like, I put my tongue in your mouth. And she's like, it just grosses me out so much. Yeah, I don't understand it. You share quite a lot of germs with your spouse on a pretty regular basis. What's wrong? What's wrong with sharing ice cream? Dairy sharing creeps me out too. So for anyone who's out there who's listening to this, and if you understand why this is a thing, please tell me. Please tell me why this is a thing and why is it in particular a thing with dairy. I understand not wanting to share ice cream more than I understand dairy being a thing in particular. So I would be very curious to hear it.